So it's between, do we try to keep doing the fertility treatments? Do we just take some time off? Do we try to see if it'll happen naturally again? Because it had twice already. So then May the following year, Memorial Day, we find out we're pregnant again, naturally. So we were really excited. That only lasted a week or two. Ended again, another chemical pregnancy. So considering what his tests had shown, this is very positive that we're being able to get pregnant naturally, but it's likely that there's some DNA or chromosome issues causing us not to be able to continue a pregnancy. So then we decide after that miscarriage that we are just going to focus on fostering. We need to take a break of trying ourselves. Mm-hmm. We know we'd be great parents. We know there's other kids in need, so let's try to foster. We took the classes.
Yep, we got ourselves ready.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when we moved into our place now, one of the first things that we did is we built a nursery. Right, and I'm not gonna lie. When Cindy was like, "Yeah, let's create this nursery," and then we put 2 beds in there or whatever. It was a boy bed and a girl bed, and then I'm literally saying to her like, "Why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this to ourselves?" Right?
If you're interested in more of our content, please hit like and subscribe. But you're jumping way ahead because we took the classes when we were over at 808.
Oh, we took the class at 808?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we took the classes, but we knew at the end of the year that we were going to be moving. And you cannot be moving or doing any big remodeling projects or anything when you're looking to foster. So they said, okay, we're not going to do a home study until you move. We left that place the end of December of 2016. And then it took us until October of 2017 to find the place that we ended up buying, or my father ended up buying for us to live in. And when we got it, it was perfectly preserved from 1986 when it was built.
From the carpet to drapes to
the balances that match the pillows, that match the bedspreads, a very off-white, dingy color throughout the carpet, the walls.
You could tell a designer put it together, but it stayed stuck.
The Formica furniture.
Oh man!
All of which was left in here for us to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So we finally found the place, but we're obviously not ready to foster yet because we had some big things we wanted to do. So we move in, we scrape the ceilings, get all the popcorn off, we paint. We do the flooring in the bedrooms to start, just so that we could get our room set up. What else did we do? We changed the lighting, all the outlets. We put the tamper resistant because we knew we wanted the kids. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we gave it a pretty nice overhaul.
Yeah. We do what we could get done to make it look as good as possible for the meantime.
Yeah, and then early of 2018, Sam was actually striking up a conversation with our guard. We have a guard gate. It's a gated community. And I'll let him share that story because that was an interesting possibility.
Yeah, so I actually kind of forgot about that a little bit. So another heartache type thing. So the guard in our building, I told her about, us trying. I think I might have shared with her that we were struggling a little bit as well. And then she was just like, she's like, Sam, I have this situation, which I think is like perfect for you guys. My brother his girlfriend, she's not going to be able to take care of this baby, So I think this could be a good situation for you guys to adopt.
The guard was actually adopting this woman's third child.
Mm-hmm.
The previous two had been adopted by two other families.
Mm-hmm.
And so now she was pregnant a fourth time.
Yeah.
And the guard was told she wasn't going to be allowed to keep the baby.
Yeah, so typically what happens in a situation like that, the courts don't allow it because you've kind of shown that on 3 different occasions prior that you couldn't take care of business. So this had some legs to it. And then I remember we met her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we both met her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where did we go?
Chipotle, I think.
Chipotle? Okay. All right. So yeah, we met her to talk to her to see, what
would be a good fit.
It would be a good fit, and what's her story, etc. And go ahead, take it over from here.
Yeah, she said, she was interested in having us adopt her baby. So she invited us to the first ultrasound. And then as it got closer to that date, we messaged her again about, when it was going to be exactly. And she said, "Oh, I've decided to keep the baby." We're like, okay, don't know what happened there.
And we never got a follow up to know whatever happened, after that. So
she came back around another time a little bit later because the judge or someone had told her like she wasn't going to be able to keep this baby. So then we were back in the picture for a short while, and we were just kind of waiting as the pregnancy progressed to get an update. Every once in a while, we'd shoot a little text. She said she was doing fine, but that was pretty much all the info we got.
Yeah.
And then that's when we started back with the fostering process.
Yeah. So heartache strikes again. So now we're on how many failed?
Well, that was still up in the air. So we go back to fostering.
Mm-hmm.
We do the home study. We pass the home study. They do the background checks, but then they say that Sam's involved in a legal situation that was really his brother's situation, but because they owned a business together, Sam kind of got lumped into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't something that was really affecting us, but they were concerned that there could be financial repercussions to us. So they wanted to see how that played out first before they fully licensed us.
So then now we're on pause for another year.
Yes, another year and a half.
All right, and then now the stress is starting to build.
If you're interested in more of our content, please hit like and subscribe. Yeah, it's just like one thing after another.
Right. So
the girl's due date passed, and we clearly never heard anything. So that was out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And fostering is still on pause because it is more of his brother's situation. We had no say over the timeline. We couldn't push things along further because his brother was holding things up.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very frustrating for us.
Yeah.
But we kept pushing on. We kept praying. We knew so many people were praying for us.
So many people would just tell me, "Sam, you know what? I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for you guys." And I think part of the story is I think the devil kind of knew exactly our route that we were gonna go. So he created these roadblocks, for us. But God has the ultimate plan, and He has us in our favor. So, go ahead.
So the summer of 2019, the legal situation is finally winding down. The licensing agency knows that the news should be coming soon, that we're ready to continue. And I believe it was in June, one of our friends from church messaged me and said, "Hey, I have a coworker who is fostering twins right now, and she thinks that case might go to adoption. Her heart is really for fostering." But she would really love to see the twins go to a Christian family if that's the way that the case goes. So would you just pray for them and just be in prayer that they would find this family?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
she's like,
that
she's
we
like,
would be the family to adopt them if it goes
yeah,
that way.
yeah. So, so after she gets this call, she tells me, she's like, yeah, I said, yeah, we would be, the family to adopt or whatever, and she just knows me. I was on board. I was like game, like
Yeah.
right away.
Obviously, foster care is very sensitive, so we didn't ask any details. They couldn't really give us any details. We just said, yes, if it goes that way, we're interested. So then in August, I guess the caseworkers were going to push for the goal to change to adoption. And once the foster mom heard that, she told our mutual friend and asked her if she thought we would mind if she called us.
Mm-hmm.
So she called us and we hit it off right away. And we set up to actually meet the twins after church service one Sunday, the first weekend in September. So we met them. They were super chill. They were cute. They were quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They were smiley.
They were like, funny.
Yeah. We're like, okay, I think we could do this.
All right, so I'm going to add a couple of details. So when I met Cindy, I had 2 names picked out for our future. I asked her, did you have any names for your future kids? And she was like, no. And I was like, I have 2 names picked out. And the names that I have was Isaiah and Michaela. Right? So that was early on when we first started.
2007.
2007, right? So now fast forward, and they're twins, and this was our
boy-girl twins.
Boy-girl twins. We prepared the room for boy-girl already. And then Cindy says, what if their names were already Isaiah and Michaela? Right. And then when she said that,
we're like, there's no way it's possible. But what?
It gave me goosebumps. Right. I was like, no way. If God is playing with me like that, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely nuts if that was the case.
Yeah. So even when I talked to Donna, their foster mom, I didn't ask any details then. I didn't ask names then. We just said, yes, we're interested. In September, their case was going up for review, which is when the caseworkers were going to push for adoption. Prior to the case, I believe it was the guardian ad litem at the time, reached out and called us. So when she called, she said, hi, I understand that you're interested in adopting Jakayla and Josiah. So once she said that, I was like, what? What did you say their names were?
Yeah.
Because you literally can't get any closer
to
than
Isaiah
what we had been calling
Michaela,
our imaginary children all along.
Yeah.
Josiah, even though, we all called him Josiah, on his birth certificate was spelled Josaih, which is an unconventional spelling. It's more like Josiah. And then it was like, they basically took the names we wanted and just made them start with the same letters.
Yeah, exactly. So Jakayla became Michaela. And we kind of took that as a sign that we were in the right place, right? So
yes, the case was definitely a roller coaster, and that's kind of what we leaned into. Was these names are too close for it to be just a coincidence.
Yeah,
like God has to have a plan.
There's no way that it was a coincidence.
Yeah, so that was September 2019 that we first met them. We did some respite care. So they would come over during the day. We would babysit. We got to know them better. We had a lot of fun with them. And then finally, in November of 2019, we finally got licensed.
We did.
So we got licensed 0 to 4 years old and up to 2 children. We wanted to be able to keep a sibling pair together if we could. And then December 3rd, we get that call. Hey, are you willing to take, we have a 2-year-old boy and a 9-month-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought about it for a couple hours. We're like, oh, are we ready? So we said, this is what we're here to do.
We said,
send them over.
Yeah, send them over. And then this is dramatic, but just going to give you a little insight on this system, all right, and how this works. And so this is our first placement, and this is what it looks like. All right. So caseworker comes over. Caseworker unbuckles the kids, bring them inside.
They did have some stuff. They had about a bag of clothes.
Yeah.
There was a tub, a seat,
mm-hmm.
a couple little things.
Yeah. The bags, all of them look disheveled. And then she asked me to walk to her, help. I had to grab something at her car. I don't know if it was a car seat or something like that at her car. I went down with her to grab it. And then once I grabbed it,
she was like, bye.
She's out of there. She's gone. And then that was the kids' drop off, right? So, we're kind of like, what do we do? Is this it? Right? It was really strange that this is the drop off with no real explanation.
Yeah, you're supposed to get a binder that has a lot of information about the kids, anything that's important to know, some of the case situation, just so you have a little background about what's going on. But it wasn't ready at the time. So they literally were just dropped off with no information. And it was like, best of luck to you.
Yeah. So the young man, I can't say his name. He's walking around, my living room or whatever. We had our bar set up, and then I think he probably pressed a button on the bar, and then I told him no, and then he let out a sonic boom scream. It was so loud, so high pitched. It was it wasn't terrifying to me because I'm built like that. So I was like, my response.
He was having a lot of tantrums.
He was having a ton of tantrums, right?
The little girl was super chill. She was easy. She was quiet. But he was a lot.
Yeah.
He was not really physically aggressive, but aggressive with toys. He didn't really know how to play. He was kicking things, stepping on things. He was just very rough.
Yeah.
Very loud and didn't seem to have many boundaries.
Yeah.
Or he didn't like if you tried to set boundaries.
Yeah, he didn't like it. And I just remember when he was screaming, and then I'm watching him scream like that, and I go, oh no, not in my house. I'm just built like that, right? So, we it's an adjustment for the both of us. And obviously it's adjustment for him. This is the first time we're meeting him. And then I think shortly right after that, we get what's called a CRR, which is the explanation and all the information on the background of the case and what happened, in their case. And then also that they had been in several homes before, one with a family member and then another home, and they just couldn't do it, So we were like, okay, so this was like their third or fourth home?
The third. I think there was a family member, but it was in Orlando. And she had a busy work schedule, something going on where it was just too much to be able to care for 2 young kids with her busy schedule. And then when they came back down here, there wasn't a home available for them. So they were in a shelter for a few days, I believe.
Yep.
They were from Palm Beach County and we're in Broward. So they really make every effort to find a family within the same county. And then once they can't, then they look into the other surrounding counties. So that's how we kind of got pulled into that.
Yep. So then that kind of started our first journey, and we started off with 2, right? This is what you want. This is what you get, right?
I've probably cried a couple times.
I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I knew it would get better. I also knew that we weren't parents that were going to give up. Right. This wasn't going to be a third or a fourth stop.
No.
from here.
It was just such an adjustment to our typical peace and quiet.
Yeah, we're pretty tranquil together. So it did create some ruffling for sure.
Yeah, but I'd say took about 2 weeks, and then we started seeing some improvements and some progress, and we saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave us a lot of hope.
It did.
And then his mom went to one of his doctor's appointments, and she even saw the improvement, and she sent me a nice email about it. So that made us feel good.
Yeah, mom said they trained him.
Oh my God, they trained him.
So you could take that how you want. The way that we took it is we were doing our job. All right, we were firm but loving. We created boundaries. We created consistency. We created schedule. All of those things help. Nap time. Oh my goodness! If he didn't nap, he really became a terror.
But they were such good nappers and sleepers, which was amazing.
Yeah. So these are the things that helped move the process along and made him better. So it was good to see. Mom was also saying, like, other people are seeing the difference, while he was, in our home. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. So that was early December that we got them. And then the end of December, obviously we were quite busy with them throughout December.
For sure.
The end of December, I was like, oh, when's my period coming? And I looked at my calendar. I was like, oh, it's a few days late. So I didn't really feel any symptoms or anything, but it was odd for it to be late. So I was like, let me just take a test. December 28th, I took a test and it was positive. And I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like you hear where someone adopts or someone fosters and all of a sudden they're pregnant? Like, is that really going to be us, or is it going to be another heartache? So I actually kept it secret to myself for a few days. And then New Year's Eve is when I surprised Sam.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, I was going to church, and around this time, I'm really feeling defeated myself too. And it was a couple people that said, I was like, oh yeah, we're just about ready to foster. We're gonna foster, or we're just. And then someone said to me, oh my God, I've seen this before. I'm like looking at her like, you're crazy. It's like, I've seen this before. I already know it's gonna happen, right? And I'm like, what's gonna? She's like, you're gonna get pregnant, and the same month that we took them in is the same month we got pregnant, right? And we took that as an exclamation point that we were absolutely in the right place where God wanted us to be for foster care.
Yeah, I did forget one big one that we left out.
What?
This is 2019. In 2018, October of 2018.
Oh, this was the thing.
I did have another natural pregnancy.
Yeah.
And it was October. I called my OBGYN. I explained all the issues that we had and the chemicals, and I wanted to start progesterone, and can you please get me in quickly? And they said the first available that we have is December something, the beginning of December sometime. I was like, I'm not waiting that long. Like, I've been through a lot. I need to know now if everything's okay, what I can take to try to make this stick. So we went to our fertility doctor. He was willing to take us, did the blood work. The numbers were really good. So they said, okay, come back tomorrow for an ultrasound. We go in, it was November 1st for the ultrasound. And he couldn't find the baby initially. And then he found it. It was in my right tube. Had a very strong heartbeat, 125 beats per minute. But obviously being in my tube, it was not going to be viable. So he called over to my OBGYN. I had breakfast, but it was a small breakfast. So he was asking the doctor whether or not he thought I should go to the hospital or come back the next day when I hadn't eaten. And the doctor said, no, go to the hospital. Thank God I did, because I was already bleeding internally. We saw a little bit of blood on the ultrasound at my fertility doctor's, but he didn't think it had ruptured yet. But then by that afternoon, when they went in for the surgery, they found that it had ruptured. So I lost my right tube. So we already had the challenges, but that made it more of a challenge on top of it. So now when we fast forward to December of 2019 and I'm pregnant again, my first thought was, I need to get into the doctor ASAP. So again, actually this time we don't have a doctor because our insurance was switching and the doctor I had for several years was no longer going to be on the insurance. So I called my fertility doctor again. We haven't seen him, obviously, in the past year. So he had since retired, and they said, no, we can't see you. It's been over a year. You need to go to your OBGYN, which I didn't have. So I went to one of those pay for the ultrasound by just, one of those 3D, 4D ultrasound places.
Yeah.
It's like, I just need to know that it's in my uterus and not in my other tube, because I did not want to have to go through that again. That was a very painful surgery, obviously devastating emotionally. That was the hardest hitting because that was the first time that we had ever seen a heartbeat. So I was like, I need to know this time that it's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I remember we both looked at each other, and all we could say when we looked at the ultrasound when it was in the tube, it was like, oh my God, the heartbeat was so strong. That was the one that was supposed to stick, and then it was right from that to, right to the hospital, to emergency surgery, to, a very painful recovery. Nothing is, I know with Cindy, like I said in an earlier video, when she hurts, I hurt. She's special to me. So to just kind of watch her, be in pain, and then also be in such a emotional, vulnerable spot was very challenging. And she was kind of bedridden for a while. And
if you don't know what an ectopic surgery looks like, they needed 4 different holes to go through. They put 2 holes a little bit higher up on your abdomen. They went through the belly button, and then because it had already ruptured, they needed to do a lower incision as well to remove the tube and get the blood out. So it was a lot. It was very painful. My whole abdomen was in pain, and then the emotional pain on top of that.
Yeah, I would say that was probably our lowest point, through that battle for pregnancy, right? It was just like, again after again, we just keep getting hit, and every time we get hit, it's almost like it's getting worse.
Yeah. So then when I got pregnant, December 2019, I went to the ultrasound place by myself.
You did. I don't know where I was, but I know you had to just get there.
I think you were kind of like, I don't know if I want to go to one of those places, or like,
maybe I probably was like that.
Find out first.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I was like, I have to go and make sure it's where it's supposed to be. So I went. It was very early. It was 6 weeks, so they couldn't hear the heartbeat yet, but you could see the flicker, and you could see that the sac was there in my uterus with the flicker. It's like, okay, good. So now I had to find a doctor. I found one who was actually able to get me in another week and a half, which was better than my original OB would have been able to do. So I went to him, got another confirmation. This time Sam was able to come, which we were lucky.
because this was COVID, right? Or no,
Well,
not COVID
the
yet.
very early parts of COVID.
Yeah.
But Sam was able to come to that one, and he was able to come to all of the appointments, which after March of that year, everyone else that I know who was pregnant, nobody else was allowed to come. They had to go by themselves. And I was lucky that the one doctor that we chose randomly, it was his practice. It was a small office, and he allowed him to continue to come, which was huge for us.
Yeah.
So we get the second confirmation ultrasound. Everything's looking good. He puts me on progesterone and aspirin, just to make sure, blood clotting wasn't an issue. Make sure that my progesterone is good, so my uterine lining is good. And then because of my past issues, he scheduled a couple more early ultrasounds just to make sure everything was progressing well, and it was. But still, we were pretty much in disbelief.
Yeah, we were in disbelief for a long time, to be honest with you. And that's the trauma that this infertility journey kind of took on us. We couldn't even be truly happy during this time, right?
Yeah, and it robs you of your joy.
It definitely robs you.
It takes away, the excitement and the possibility, because all you have in your mind is not the possibility of who this baby is going to be, but the possibility of losing this baby.
It. Yeah, because we've seen this before. You can really be happy through the pregnancy, which I know if you've shared in a story that looks like ours, you completely understand exactly where we were at, and still kind of vulnerable. Baby was growing, but we still wasn't. We still wasn't.
Yeah,
we still wasn't happy.
We still wasn't happy. Everything on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
am I feeling true? What I'm supposed to be feeling?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is this pain normal? It's just a lot. But we made it. We decided, actually, at 32 weeks pregnant, that we did not want to have a hospital birth. We wanted to try for a home birth. Again, it was COVID. Were they allowing husbands in the room at the time?
Some places were, some places were not, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that he'd be able to be present. I was concerned about having to labor with a mask on. I did not want to have to deal with that. And we had watched some birth stories. We took a Mama Natural class, and we felt confident we could do it.
Yeah, I originally wasn't on board, and then I don't know what happened. Slowly, it kind of grew on me. We're just like, all right, we're gonna have this baby at home, and that's
for years it was actually a joke.
It was a joke, but
because I always wanted it. I wanted a natural birth, not necessarily home birth, but a natural birth, no epidural, no drugs.
Yeah.
But anytime I'd have a little pain or I'd complain about something, he'd be like, natural birth, natural birth.
Exactly. So but something, I think we went to like a we might have stepped into a birthing center just to see.
Yeah, we took a tour.
We took a tour. We took a tour of a birthing center, and that wasn't it for me. But the idea of having baby in the home kind of started to be something that I was more comfortable with. And then once I was more comfortable with it, I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's have baby at home.
Yeah, so we started preparing for that. In the background, the first two kids that we were fostering were unified. It was a great situation. Their mom really fought hard to get them back. And we stayed in touch for a while, and they were doing well, thriving. So it was the best outcome we could have hoped for. The twins case was dragging on and on and on. We were hopeful that we'd be able to transition them to our home. We thought it would be a month or two before Caden was born, and we thought everyone was on board, but then that court date came, and they're like, nope, let's just wait a couple more months to the termination of parental rights trial, which was actually scheduled for the day that Caden was due. So we're like, oh, let's see if this all happens on the same day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was going on in the background. We're preparing for this. Finally, I get past my due date, and it was probably, I believe, 40 weeks and 3 days.
Uh-huh.
And we're at a friend's house, And I'm just sitting there bouncing on a ball. She goes to put her daughter to bed. I go to the bathroom, and when I go to the bathroom, I get a gush as I sit down. I was like, was that my water breaking? I had some light cramping throughout the day, but I really didn't feel like, I mean, you have so many weird sensations when you're that pregnant that I didn't think about it much. But it was a lot of fluid that came out. So I was like, let me go upstairs and see if my friend has a pad. So she tells me where it is. I go in her bathroom and I get another gush. Like, can I borrow some underwear too?
Yeah.
And I hadn't even told Sam that this happened. I just went from the bathroom up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then come downstairs. After she had put her daughter to bed, we both came down together. And I was like, I think my water just broke.
Yeah.
So he's like, really?
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know what to think. I didn't even know what to process. I obviously haven't seen this before. So, I'm excited, and I'm like, we need to get home, as quick as possible. And I think
well, we ended up staying 2 more hours before we left.
Yeah. So I think this is a good place to stop, because we'll go into our birth story after this. So thank you for checking out this episode. If you like this content, please hit like and subscribe so we can continue to bring more content like this for you.
And stay tuned for the next adventure, because that birth story was a story.
It was. All right. Have a good day.
If you're interested in more of our content, please hit like and subscribe.